Hello and welcome to the All About Pigeons podcast. I'm Phil,
I'm Chris.
and we got a special treat for everybody today. All the way from Montpelier, Ohio, we have a National Pigeon Association master breeder. He was currently had a nice article, Purebred Pigeon magazine. We got Colton Friedel with us today. How you doing, Colton?
I'm doing good. Nice to be here.
Thanks for coming on. We're happy to finally have somebody with some experience and some knowledge to share with us, and I'm sure you're going to be able to do that, right?
I'll try my best.
So, in the article on Purebred Pigeon, it kind of went into, your story a little bit, but can you share with the listeners just, how you got into pigeons and your start with pigeons?
Yeah, sure. So I've always been into poultry and birds in general. I've been going to national poultry shows ever since I was, I don't even know, 10, 11 at the latest. I've been going to them for ages. Showing it here local, then also going to national shows and everywhere. I never really got introduced into pigeons until about, I was 14, 15, give or take. And that was when I was actually at a poultry show. That was when they were combined with poultry and pigeons. One of the pigeon guys came up to me. His name was Scott Amo. And he was like, "Hey, how much do you know about pigeons?" And I was honest with him. I was like, "I don't really know." I was like, "I know they fly around barns. They're everywhere. They make a mess." I didn't really know. And so he took me over to the pigeon section. We started talking pigeons. And next thing I know, I am coming home with a couple pairs of pigeons.
Nice.
So after that, working with him, and I didn't realize it at the time, but he was I don't know if he was the current president of Rare Breeds, but he was a past president of the Rare Breeds Club, and he's a nationally affiliated judge as well. And he lives not even an hour away from me. And so within working with him and a couple other judges in the area, I started going to more shows, breeding more birds, getting more out there. Then when I hit 16, 17, they're like, "Hey, you're old enough, you've been doing this long enough, why don't you learn to be a judge?" And so I started clerking more so under him and Jack Milkerson and James Rathbuckner, as well as a couple of the other big wigs in the Rare Breeds Club. And slowly just started building a little bit of a pedigree behind myself, gaining knowledge and overall breed and standard knowledge of all the different rare breeds. It's quite a few.
Wow. So what was that first breed that you went home with?
It was actually just homeless to get me started.
Okay.
Wasn't anything special, just run-of-the-mill homeless. Because with a 13, 14-year-old kid not really knowing what to do with pigeons, you don't want to give them top dollar.
Right. Chicken by Jacobins.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just to get my feet wet with them. And then after a couple of years, I started working with Syrian coop tumblers. Those were my first rare breeds. And then a bit after that, I started working with Arabian trumpeters. And then have since then progressed into other breeds as well. But those are still my main ones that I have. And those are the two ones that I'm a master breeder of today.
Oh, okay. And so what are all the breeds you have now? You have the trumpeters, the tumblers.
Yep, so the Arabian trumpeters and the Syrian coop tumblers, of course. So those are going to be my main. I'm always going to have them. But the ones that I'm working the most on right now are Baku tumblers. They're also known as Armenian high flyers. The standard that we have recognized for them is recognized under the name Baku tumbler, hence why I show them under Baku.
Okay.
That was there's no confusion in what the standard is for. I've got those Zitterhalls, Transylvanian double-crested tumblers. I've got those as well that I'm working with. One of the guys that I have around here that I've been working with, he breeds and shows Galatian high flyers. And so that's another one you hardly ever see.
Wow.
But the Baku and the Transylvanians are the main ones that I'm focusing on right now, besides my coop tumblers and the Arabians.
So your journey for becoming a judge at these shows, did you start off in junior classes, or did you just get right into working with an all breeds judge and kind of just working under his wing a little bit and going off of the standard? Or how did your journey becoming an all breeds judge? How did that take place?
I was like, well, I'm not a NPA all breeds judge. I'm a rare breeds judge.
Rare breeds, okay.
So, yeah, so there is a little bit of a difference with that. I can't go to I'm sure I can, but the all breeds judges, they are a little bit more open show class. My certification is mainly in rare breeds.
Okay.
I can do open show, but like I said, I'm licensed in rares. So with that, again, me going to all the shows and having Scott and Jack in my back pocket, working with them all the time. Because like I said, Scott's an hour away from me. Jack is up in Lapeer, so he's about 3 hours. So he, again, still pretty close. So there's been multiple weekend trips up to their house, going to all the shows, long car rides, and going to Des Moines and Lancaster, just quizzing back and forth the standard, and just over the years, just gain the knowledge.
Yeah. Okay. And so the master breeder, you were saying that it's for the 2 specific breeds that you're working with right now?
Yep. I'm master breeder of the Arabian Templars and the Syrian Coop Templars. And that master breedership is also through the Rare Breeds Club. It's not an NPA one. It's through the Rare Club.
Okay, and you're a member of the Rare Breeds Club, and that's like a national club, right? I mean, that's all over. That's not just an Ohio thing.
Oh yeah, that is all over the country.
Is there a state club in Ohio?
There's not a state-specific club for Ohio. There is in Michigan, which is also coincidentally run by Scott and Jack. They're the Michigan Pigeon Club, but Ohio doesn't really have one. We've got a couple of local shows in Ohio, but not a state-specific one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see Sandusky at the fairgrounds. I see a lot of stuff going on down there.
Yep.
The Fulton County Fairgrounds.
Yep. Fremont has a very nice show.
And so I wanted to talk with you about this. You mentioned this too in the article on the Purebred Pigeon about the European judging standard.
Yes.
And so you go to a show and they're the only ones with this breed of a bird, and then there's 5 people that brought one bird, and then one other person with that only breed of a bird. So if I understand it right, you're talking the European judging standard is every bird is judged against the standard, and you come up with a number, and the person who has the highest number, the best version of that breed. Is that like a really
pretty much, yeah,
simplified way of looking at it? I mean,
that's pretty much it in a nutshell. It's like most of the time when you go to an open class show, you get all of one breed. Say you're taking up all of your kimonos, you pick your best of each color, and then you place best of breed and reserve a breed, and then you go on to your next breed and continue on from there. Rare breeds, it's somewhat similar. You do take that into consideration, but ultimately it is judging that specific bird up against its specific standard. So say I have a kimono and I'm judging it up against the standard. I don't look at any of the other kimonos. I just look at that specific bird and go point by point how close it is to that standard. And that's where we get our numbers from. Which that's the same way that European and German they do it all like that. I like it a lot better like that. It gets you a lot more accurate reading on the bird and how good it actually is. Just because you have the best out of, say, 10 birds, it might only be okay in comparison to the standard. Right. When in rare breeds, judging by that bird specific to the standard, you know exactly how it faces up against the standard.
Right. And I guess, being in a rare breeds club like you guys are, it's probably not too common that people roll up with 10 people show up with the same breed of bird. I'm sure you guys are all coming up with some pretty unique stuff.
Oh yeah, it does happen, especially at some of the biggest shows. You get 10, 15 of one breed, but most of the time, if you enter a breed, you've got the only one of that breed.
Okay.
And so how they place them, basically it's out of 100. You can't get 100, a 99, or a 98. Just because there are no perfect birds, there's no way you can be that close to the standard. Like if you did it, it'd be basically a cookie cutter. You can't really do that. There's always going to be one feather out of place, one smudge here. There's always something that you could change.
Right. Always.
So our judging mainly starts at 97, which is what we consider a royal. There's judges that I know that have only given out one royal their entire show career, just because that bird is as close to perfect as you can possibly get. So it's very prestigious and very highly praised if you do get a royal. After that, we start with our highly superiors, which those are 96 to a 94. 96 being the highly superior plus. Basically, you're really close. You're not quite perfect. There's a couple different things you want to change, but that's really pretty good. Your show winners are going to come out of your 96 awards. 95s and 94s are also really good. They're just a slight point down. They got either a couple extra feathers out of place, crest is a little funky, or they don't have this just perfect bar, or whatever breed specific ornament they've got. And then going down from there, you've got your superior, which is your 93 to a 92. Those are still good birds. They're more better as broodstock or breeders. And the only ones eligible for master breeder points is a 94 to a 97. So getting a 93 or below, you don't get points for.
I see.
And like I said, it's more of a broodstock bird. 90, 91 and below. They're birds. They're representative of the breed, but they're not really one that you want to keep around for your judging, for your breeding program, and one that you want to have as the forefront of the breed, you know.
And you just came back from a show today, right?
Yes, yep, I did. There was a Bay City Young Bird show.
Okay. And how did you put birds into that show?
Yep, I brought 5 birds to that show. The Arabian trumpeters, some of my Baku, and some Zitterhalls I entered.
How'd you do?
I ended up coming away with reserve champion of the rare breeds meet with the Arabian, and best flying with the Baku. Like champion went to a Texan Pioneer. It's a phenomenal bird. I can't wait to see that bird when it gets older.
You know, Chris, he's got himself a pretty rare breed of birds. You ever heard of the Gansels?
I have Gansels. I have yet to see one in person.
Okay.
Not many people around here have them.
How'd you even come up on those, Chris? Where'd you get those from?
I met a lady who runs a rescue, and she referred me to a gentleman, and I talked to him about these birds for several hours, and finally we ended up not getting one from him. And as luck would have it, about 6-8 months later, he rehomed all of them to this rescue. So I wound up with a few pair.
Have you been breeding those?
Well, they're doing pigeon things. One of them hatched out a baby, but it was shrink wrapped terribly. And unfortunately, I didn't notice it. And I peeled it out. It was alive, but it didn't make it too long.
I'm sure that would have to be one of the, because the Rare Breeds Pigeon Club has like a list of birds that would classify as a rare breeds. I mean, that would have to be on there, right, Colton? I mean, those cancels.
It should be. I honestly don't have the list memorized just because there's so many on there.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not hard to find. If you go to the rarebreedpigeons.net, that's our club website. We've got a full list on there of all the breeds classified as rare, and even if they're not on the list, there are even more that we just don't have on there that are classified as rare.
So, with with your experience, I mean, it sounds like you got a good breeding program, and you know how to prep birds for a show. Can you kind of give us like a walkthrough of, say you got some birds that you're going to be taking to a show? Like, do you have a routine that you kind of put them through beforehand to get them tip top, and what's that like?
So a couple months before the show season even begins, I go through all the birds and just make my pre-evaluations, pick out good birds with good traits, ones that I think are show quality, get them separated into a completely different building. That way they've got plenty of space to grow, plenty of space to condition out, good flight pendant, and plenty of room to exercise, build the muscle mass they need. And also during the same time frame, I go through and debug all of them. Couple different things that I use to allow some. It's like if I'm treating directly onto the bird, I use an ivermectin, the drench that you get at farm source for cattle. works really good. I've used it for years. It works well for me. Then I also have a pesticide that you can put in basically around the pen in bedding that kills all the ambient bugs. I believe the name is I can look it up. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. But I use that and treat it around the pens. That way, if I miss anything on the birds, that would kill everything in the building, and it's not harmful to the birds. That way, the birds have time to get rid of lice if they even had any, and if they did, get rid of the pen holes and the feathers, and clean them up, make them a little bit more presentable. But like I said, this is months before the show season even comes around. That way, you've got time to have the feathers grow back in. Getting closer to the show season is when I go through and make my final evaluations. Breeds do take longer to decide which ones are good enough to show or not. Most of mine are pretty easy to tell at that age range, because I start hatching mid-February at the latest. Some breeds I have going up in January, and so about that time I go through and pick out the birds that I think are worthy of going to a show again. To start doing your little judicial groomings here or there. If they have a crest, go through and trim up the crest, make it nice, neat, even. Some people don't like trimming the crest, so that way they can get a natural formed crest, which I do agree with you. You have to have the natural form of the crest to have something to base it off of. But you can always, I just get a pair of mustache scissors, and if you trim just right at the very edge of where the feathers on the skull, at the top of the skull, push back onto the crest, especially if it's like a shell crest.
Yeah.
Trim that up and makes for a nice even line. Because the feathers on the head can kind of push the shell crest back quite a ways, and then just make it look kind of wonky off place.
Yeah.
So we just take a little bit off that crest, not off the crest, but like off the feathers off the skull. You can even that crest up and make it stand straight up and perfect all the way around.
That's how I cut my hair in the mirror.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Real
so
small stuff.
I mean,
there's a couple of different breeds too that require trimming and stuff like that. I mean, and I know that there's some that they actually frown upon, like you don't want to have that trimming being done on there, right?
Right. It's like in rares we do allow a little bit of judicial grooming. If it's excessive and you can obviously see the scissor marks, then that's getting a little too much. But if it's very fine trimming or in stuff that you can't see, and something that's not completely obvious and brings attention to, it is allowed.
What's worse, a missing tail feather or a tail feather that's the wrong color?
I would say a tail feather that's the wrong color, because that would be a completely genetic fault compared to just a condition fault.
So if someone has a bird that does have like a off colored tail and they yank it, you guys would never know. You would just look at it and see a missed tail feather.
Exactly. That's when you kind of whole honor system comes into play, but they don't really know what the bird had before it got to the show.
Okay.
They could have easily had a split feather, or like you said, a wrongly colored tail feather, or white when it should have been solid black. And the list can go on and on.
I have shield croppers, and I have a lavender shielded bird with either a grizzle tail or a blue tail feather. It started out gray. I plucked it several times. It never came back white.
Yeah.
So it's just getting darker and darker. I think eventually one day it'll be totally black.
Yeah, like that will happen.
The next offspring that came, it's about 4 days old. It's going to be another lavender bird, and it looks like it's going to have a black tail feather only on the outside. Right.
And if that bird is a prime show specimen, then it's up to you. I mean, you could, as I said, pull it and then show it, but when it comes down to your breeding, it's going to carry through, and how much do you really want to worry about fixing that later?
Right. Now, is that hard to get rid of?
If it's just one specific bird, it shouldn't be too bad. It all depends on what the other ones carry. If it is recessive through the line, or if it's dominant through the line, it's like it can really vary. But if you keep popping up, just keep getting rid of the ones that have it, or you can just keep it and keep it off the side just in case you need to add back to the genetics of what you've got. If you don't have a big enough genetic pool of that breed where you're at, you can always keep them just in case you need it. But you can slowly breed that out in a generation or two, and shouldn't take it too bad.
Well, that gives me some kind of hope.
Yeah, the genetics of it and the matching and the breeding and modifiers and all that, that's that's a can of worms right there, and that's honestly a can of worms that's flying way over my head.
It's over my head as well. I got the basics. I know how to breed a good bird, but when you get into your X, Y, Z plus this makes that,
Right.
right over my head too.
I mean, I guess the real answer is what? Just start off with super high quality birds. And
What makes a master breeder? You talked a lot about it. What do you got to do to get there?
So for rare breeds to hit master breeder, you need to hit a minimum of 500 points in at least one breed. And so we've got our placings broken down at that. So if you go to a regular rare breed meet, if you just get a regular highly superior award, no class champions, you get 2 points just for that highly superior. If you win a class champion, you get 20 points. If you get reserve of the show, you get 35 and 50 if you win the show. There's also a best of breed award for 10 points, but you have to have a minimum of 10 birds of that specific breed entered. Then for a national show, points are doubled. So highly superior would be 5, best of breed would be 20, class champion is 40, reserve of show is 75, and 100 for overall. So depending on how many shows you got and how good your birds are, you can easily hit master breeder within 1 year. But that's why we've got the stipulation that you have to be a member of the club with good standing and showing that breed for a minimum of 3 years before you're even eligible to be the master breeder. So that way you don't come in with, say, one bird and win back to back to back to back every single show. You have to show the progression of it.
Gotcha.
That makes sense. And is it you have to be in good standing with like an NPA affiliated club?
Rare breed specific, because like I said, the master breedership is through rare breeds.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. So
it's like each club offers their own master breeder program. Say like your pygmy powders or your monas or really any of the breed, they've got their own breed specific master breeder program, as well as the NPA's all breed master breedership. It all varies on how you're going about it. And also with rare breeds, that we do have an all breeds master breeder status as well, and that's when you hit 1,000 points in more than one breed.
Nice.
Okay. Wow.
Now, is this collective over a year? Or is it cumulative or?
Yep, it's cumulative. You got to be a member of the club to earn the points. Again, since it's through rare breeds, you have to be a paid current member. But yeah, it's progressive year by year by year. So even if you take a year or two break, as long as you come back showing the same breed, you'll be fine.
Nice.
Do you hold an officer position with the Rare Breeds Club?
I am actually the master breeder coordinator. I applied this year because we never really had. It's like I mentioned this in my article as well. It's like we haven't really had a master breeder coordinator in the last couple of years. Everybody was just kind of keeping track of their own points, just because the last guy that we had do it, he passed it off to somebody else, and I don't remember the full story. Either they passed or they had something going on, like they got too old and they couldn't do it or something, and it just kind of fell to the wayside. Everybody was just keeping track of their own points or just not at all. And so I created a program to calculate every single point, every single show, from basically everything that we have record of. I got sent all the reports to go through, and basically I've got a spreadsheet of over 1,000 lines now, that has every single exhibitor showing whatever bird they've got, whatever breed they have ever shown, and how many points they've got in that specific breed. It's like, and from all the points, all the records of the show reports that I've got, it's like my reports go back to, I think my earliest is 2005, I think. My earliest report. And so I basically had to go through and recreate everything just to ensure we had an accurate count of everything.
That's a lot.
It took me quite a while.
Between
working full time and
why aren't you working on my whiteboard here?
No, I mean that's definitely keeping track of some information there. I mean, so what does the Rare Breeds Club? I mean, you kind of talked about how you became a judge. Like, Do you guys actively seek out, to kind of get more judges and stuff? I feel like we're running out of judges for a lot of breeds right now.
Yeah, we are.
It's not cool to be judgy, man. This is 2023.
This is the one time that we need to be judgy.
You need to be, definitely. We used to have a good judging program, basically you get mentored under so many judges to learn how to basically judge yourself. And that was mainly put on by James Rathbuckner, the old club president. He did end up passing, I believe, late 2017, early 2018. And so when he passed, the judging program just kind of fell to the wayside. So I am working with Terry, the current club president, about recreating that program, getting more young people involved, getting more judges taught the correct way of judging rare breeds. So we're working on it. It's just,
that's good.
Like I said, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, I mean that's cool to hear that there's you guys are actually getting that program started up again, because you hear it all the time. The hobby needs this and the hobby needs that, and young people and judges are like the two big things.
Definitely.
And that program ties those things right up, brings them right into it.
Definitely. It's like I do believe that I am probably the current youngest judge through rare breeds.
Okay. Yeah, how old are you, Colton?
I'm 22.
22. Yeah, I mean that's awesome, man. I mean you've already got so much under your belt. That's you probably got a lot more wins ahead of you too.
Yeah, but like I said, it did help out quite a bit having Scott and Jack in my back pocket, and even James Rathbuckner. He lived down in Columbus, which is 3.5, 4 hours from me. So
yeah.
So I had top net of the Rare Breeds Club at the time, right in my area. So it definitely helped me get a little bit of a jump start and everything.
Will you be going to the NPA show in Kentucky here coming up in January, February?
The Grand National, I definitely will. This is actually going to be the first national that I've been able to attend, just because Texas is quite a hike for me.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to make the trip yet.
Are you taking birds with you?
Yep, I'll be taking birds. I'm unsure of the number just yet, but I should have at least 10.
Okay. And real quick, I wanted to, did you have any tips, to kind of help people get started, into, because your club it's a national club. So really, if anybody wanted to join up with the Rare Breeds Club, they didn't have to be in a certain area. You guys have members all over the country, do you?
Yep, we've got members all over the country in pretty much every state. We've even got a couple members up in Canada. Actually, a couple judges up in Canada as well.
And you guys set up at the Grand National and stuff like that, do you?
Yep, we'll be at the National. We are at every single national meet. Depending on the area, we should be at majority of some of the smaller shows. I know in my area, we're at every smaller show. I'm not sure about other regions, exactly how many shows we cover, but we do have quite a few shows. Most of them are either Midwest where I'm at here. We've got quite a few in California.
Okay.
I think we just 1 or 2 in Florida and a few in Louisiana. But just because you don't have a show in your area or a club in your area, it's not hard to get one going. You can either reach out to me or, like I said, go on the web page and reach out to Terry. He's the president, and we can easily figure out some judge in your area or get you a meet going.
Yeah, it sounds like your guys' the Rare Breeds Club is special in the fact that like you're saying, this is where you guys you're encouraging, and you got formats laid out for judging and becoming a judge and becoming a master breeder and getting good at showing the birds and stuff. So I think that's really cool. It's a really special thing about that club. Definitely, you guys need to get some shows out here in Arizona, man. I would absolutely attend some of those shows. And
I'll talk to Terry and see if we got any judges or see what we can do in your area.
Yeah, well, that'd be fun. Well, we're definitely coming up on the clock here, Colton. Thanks for coming on and dropping some wisdom on us here. I'm sure I appreciate it. I took some notes while you were talking about what you do to get your birds ready for a show, and I'm sure our listeners appreciate it too, man. So thanks for taking the time. I know you're at a 3-hour time difference and stuff, so we're pushing it for you. But I appreciate you coming on today.
You could be out partying right now.
Yeah, I know.
Oh no, I'm back from my show. I think I gotta do chores tonight, and then I'm going to bed.
Nice.
See, Chris, I'm telling you, man. I told you, not everybody parties like you, man. Some people sleep,
Like me. Yeah. I'd have to take a 4-hour nap.
Well, hey, thanks for coming on, and thanks everybody for listening. Make sure to follow us on Spotify so that way you can, every time we get a new episode up there, it just automatically notifies you and you're not missing out on anything.
I got my notification on.
That's right. Yeah, me too, man. Every time I'm like, oh, they did another one. How did I miss that?
Hey, man, if you ever feel like putting anything on Spotify, it's real easy. All you got, never mind.
Yeah, we don't. All right, well, thanks everybody.
Hey, thanks, Cole.